So, because every old conversation has to have a new hot take, there is another video going around of some guy giving his 2 cents as to why he thinks manga is superior to comic books, American comic books. I'm honestly not really interested in any of the points he's making because everything is framed from like a very disingenuous place of bias. And so it's a whole lot of hot gas, basically. But the first thing that he brought up, I do find it interesting as like as a prompt for discussion, because death in comic books is really interesting to me.
Continue. Let's just say Marvel runs a story that kills off Spider-Man. There's not a lot of meaning in that because Spider-Man is such a profitable character and therefore he's not going to stay dead for long. No finality in anything, so why should we care whenever bad things happen to these poor characters?
So to start with, when he says comics, he is referring specifically to Marvel and DC. So I'm just going to say he's referring to the science fantasy superhero epic genre. Therefore, when I say anime in this video, I'm referring to its equivalency, in my opinion, shonen, the science fantasy superhero epic. And on that note, I would say there really aren't a lot of true deaths in anime. Think about One Piece. There are only a handful of true deaths. A couple of them have been revealed to have been fake outs already. And like, it is a series that, for as long as it is, and as popular as it is, it's a series known for bringing back defeated villains and even heroes. And then even arguably more popular and more famous than Luffy is Goku, who is known to die and resurrect. That's not saying that there aren't impactful deaths in anime, but to pretend like it's a defining trait is like a bit ludicrous. Second of all, fiction isn't real. Anything that happens in any of these stories, it's all allegory, metaphor. It's all symbolism and imagery to invoke a deeper, more truthful meaning. When a character dies in any story, no one is actually dying. We just have to suspend our disbelief and believe that they're dying in order for us to engage with the story. So I feel like if you're hung up on the permanency of death, to me it suggests that you're one looking for the destination while ignoring the journey. At least to me personally, the what doesn't matter or is not nearly as interesting as the how, the when, and the why. I mean, Doctor Who has died like 15 times or whatever, and people still love that little weirdo. And finally, this all comes down to my personal taste, but I find the insignificance of death in Marvel and DC to be liberating. Think about it. Entire religions are based solely around the singular idea of a conquerable mortality. Much of the most significant works of art and culture in the entirety of human civilization boils down to an outstanding fuck you to the idea of dying. Whether that be the idea of an afterlife or a reincarnation, or even just the hope that you'll wake up tomorrow to see the sun rise again. It's like the most foundational aspect of hope and the human spirit is just the idea that we need to live. So I think it's really cool that comics have basically been able to solve that dilemma by just finding a solution to death in whatever creative way they can. Comics and manga, they're like the folklore, they're the ancient myth of modern society. And so I want to take a look at 2 different texts, just out of context for some food for thought. This first one comes from Universe X, number 2.
Was there no purpose to his death?
Yes, Isaac. There was a purpose in preparing him to use myth to heal reality, to teach him to no longer fear death, but to embrace it as an escape route. Marlin reconstructed Brian's body and sent him to hunt down and destroy the Fury and the man who had built it. Marlin died in the process, but for Broddock, death itself was now suspect.
And this next one by the most recent run of Excalibur, issue number 12.
You can't scare us with death anymore.
Yes, my boy. That is what I have wanted you to understand.
These are just some of the things that I really appreciate reading comics or manga. Just these deep thoughts But tell me, what do you guys think about death in fiction?